Might disagree.
10% of people report
What's that?
He's feeling dirty since the show.
Such as out-of-body sensations.
Feeling like he should have challenged more, but I think he did fine.
36 countries. The study findings suggest there may be a connection between near-death experiences and disorders of REM sleep. The researchers found that
Thanks for coming on, you guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, man. No problem. Looking forward to this for a while.
I don't get to hang out with y'all no more, which I should be able to.
I know. We're still, we're still
when,
playing D&D. You should
my,
join us again.
Yeah, I know. Right when my Saturday nights freed up, though, Clyde Lewis's wife hit me up. And so, like a lot of the times, I'm working on her show, you know, during the weekend.
Yeah.
I can't work on any more shows, man. Like, I'm probably going to push him off to Adam, you know, if he can do it.
I'm Brad Bernard. Paranormal News.
If somebody else comes to me.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to now, but
figure it out. You guys got that studio and shit, right? Like you got your own studio now.
Yep, you bet. Can you see us?
Oh yeah, I'm not used to the video stuff.
Can you see us or? Yeah.
I hope. Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's do this shit.
Let's do it. Let's do it live. Fuck it. We'll do it live. I gotta get all my swearing out now.
By the Department fuck shit, damn cunt.
Fuck shit ass bitch cut shibbity doo wop. Okay, I'm ready to not swear.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS Peter.
Yeah.
The first message that comes to me is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from the realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished, still far unstripped, our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3.
Countdown's getting lame.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Reed.
That's right. We are broadcasting from a shack on the top of a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. I'm Joe Rupin. This is Lighting the Void. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is Wednesday night, July the 10th on into the 11th. And tonight is one of those nights where I get the treat of getting to speak with good friends and mentors that, for some of you, including myself, I know for a fact that inspire, that create, that connect to folks, entertain people on a level that most cannot explain, really, if I'm being totally honest with you. And I think the easiest explanation would be to say that the Grimerica podcast is my go-to podcast for several reasons. And before I raise the pedestal too high, let me start by saying thank you all for listening to the show night after night. And if you're a new listener, this show is here live on the Fringe FM, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. Every single week following this show is The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. And before the show, there's a bunch of other great shows that come on. So from drive time to early morning hours, we got you covered. But tonight we're here with Darren Grimes and Graham Dunlop from the Grimerica podcast. They're here with us tonight. It's just a special occasion for me because this isn't a frequent thing. Used to be. I used to get to talk to these guys all the time. But there's good news afoot, and I'll tell you what. What's up here in just a second. Also, don't forget this show was brought to you by the folks at getthetea.com. The webinar is Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you sign up. And I remember last time that we did a drawing, Barbara was there, a few people were there, and somebody snuck into the room. I'm talking about like 5 minutes before we did the drawing, and Ronnie was giving away the bee pollen. And the person that snuck into the room won. So look, you don't just sign up, show up when you can. We don't really just talk about supplements and health and try to sell you stuff the whole time. We hang out and talk about some intense stuff just like we do on this show. And make sure you come out Monday night, 5 p.m. Pacific. Go to getthetea.com and sign up. The show is also brought to you by Ancient Life Oil, the best CBD oil on the planet. I mean, I think all of you should be taking CBD oil if you can take it, but this is the best stuff you can get. And preparewiththefringe.com. Thank you all for the new supporters. We got a couple yesterday. You can support the show by donating, going to the Amazon portal, sharing, liking, reviewing the show, all of that stuff. I'm not afraid to ask for support. I learned that from the Grimerica guys now. They do it a lot. Like, support the show, damn it. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. If you have a sighting of a UFO and you live in the West, Southwest, I think even the Northwest too, give UFO Seekers a shout. Give them a call at 661-UFO-7889. Go check out their YouTube channel, youtube.com/UFO Seekers. Also go to their website, ufoseekers.com. I want to thank Michael P. Masters, Dr. Michael P. Masters, for coming on the show last night. That was a fabulous show. I got to speak to an academic on a level that a lot of you really understood. We all understood it. I got a lot of good feedback about that. And the more people in academia that get involved with this, the happier it makes me. It really does. Tomorrow night, Art Funkhauser will be on the show. We're going to be talking about the deja vu experience tomorrow night. And we'll really dig into that. Not just say, yeah, deja vu is weird. I mean, there's some actual studies and people that have looked into this phenomena. So never done a show on that. So we're going to do that tomorrow night. That ought to be pretty interesting as well. And what else? Oh, yeah. I wanted to give my sympathies to the crew at Ground Zero. They lost a very good friend. A sudden loss. I don't know the details. And what I do know, I don't know what I can share or not, but I know that they lost a very good friend. And we're friends with them as well. So our heart goes out to them. I didn't know her very well, but I can tell that it's upset quite a few people over there. So our hearts and prayers and sympathies go out to you guys. So tonight we're here with Grimerica. Now the Grimerica show is a podcast featuring casual conversations with people they find interesting. The podcast features guests from fields ranging from UFOs to conspiracies, psychedelics, meditation, consciousness, folklore, and more. Probably why I like them so much. And you can give them a contact if you go to grimerica.ca. If you find anything of interest, they'll talk about just about anything when it comes to seeking truth, mysteries, pop culture, you name it. And I don't know how to explain it. I do want to thank you guys first for coming on the broadcast. It's been a long time. I don't really know, honestly, if I've got to speak to both of you at the same time on the broadcast. I don't think I have. Not on Lighting the Void. The last time I spoke to both of y'all was a late Saturday night on a different show that remains nameless. So, yeah.
We're not talking about that?
Yeah, this is the first time you guys both have been on Lighting the Void.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for having us on, man. It's awesome to talk to you.
What an honor.
Yeah.
Have I been on by myself before?
I don't know. I don't know if you have or not. I know that I opened up a phone line for you, and you've only called
I call
it
in
like
and rant sometimes.
That's a good time. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do
the rant line.
Days, yeah.
I've got a red phone here for the Grimerica crew. When it rings, I pick it up.
Can you text me the number again?
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I ain't going to give it out to the public.
Just here to say it out. I'll write it down. Yeah.
But like a lot of my listeners listen to y'all's show. And if you go to the Fringe FM chat, I mean, let's be honest, okay? A lot of people have copied off of you guys, and I say copied in the nicest way. You guys have inspired a lot of people, because last night at the end of the show, I was talking to Dan Lopez, and I said, look, I think everybody should do a podcast. I think everybody should create and express themselves and do this, because not only is it therapy, man, it's fun, and you get down to it and you find your tribe, right? And you guys found your tribe, and a lot of those tribe members have done a lot of the same things, including myself.
Yep.
That you guys do. So you guys start, believe it or not, I don't know if people know this, but you guys start a lot of trends in the podcast community. Have you noticed that?
No, not really.
We're too busy following the trends from the shows that started before us. No,
yeah, but like the Discord chat, the first time I went to that, I was like, Jesus, man, look at all these people in here.
Well,
Not only that, they're really cool.
Yeah, I was just commenting to Darren on how I think when we talked to you a few months back, or maybe maybe it was a year ago now, we were like, yeah, you should start one up too. I remember, and yours is full of people, and it's awesome. It's always very active. So congratulations, Joe.
We
Yeah, it's
can't
hard to
take
get
the
it that
credit.
way.
We can't take any credit because we didn't even know about Discord. That was
Well,
a
yeah.
friend of the show, Glitch Tech. We were on the Google Hangouts, and it maxed out, and I think it ceases to exist now. But it was a friend of the show, our friend Glitch Tech. He made the Discord, set it all up for us, grimerica.ca/chats, and handed over the keys once he was sure we weren't deleted. We've since migrated to a gamified server, but yeah, we're hanging out in the Discord. I don't, yeah, like I say, we can't take a lot of credit for that, but it worked out. The chats are great, changing lives.
And Joe, like you mentioned, the people in the community, and that's been the favorite part of the show for me. Really, ultimately, is like the great people we've got to meet along the way over the last few years. You know, listeners and guests alike, just great people all around.
Yeah, I think everybody's attracted to you guys, and I can't explain it. I really cannot. But what I will say this, I'm not saying it's hard to explain. Obviously, both of you guys got great features. It sounds kind of like a cut down if you say, well, I can't really explain it, but it's not. I'll put it to you this way. I used to listen to, and a lot of people can relate to this. I used to listen to the Rogan podcast. You guys remember when podcasting first came out and it really got big and everybody was listening to Joe Rogan. Like that was the thing that everybody listened to that I was aware of. It was a great show, man. They talked about everything. I mean, this guy and his buddies, they talked about everything. And somewhere along the line or the way, I hate to say it, but they lost it. They lost that thing that they used to have, for me anyways. And like me, there are many others that went out seeking that. And I mean, you guys are my Rogan now. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It's funny. Graham just got called the Canadian Joe Rogan the other day in a review.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. A Canadian Roy. I mean, that's a huge compliment. I mean, those are big shoes to fill. I mean, we're just trying to eke out our little corner of the web over here, and we appreciate all those things. I mean, I really think that the tribe thing just comes from just being authentic, man, and just like you can't try and put on a persona, or you can't try and do a shtick. If you want the community to form, I think you just gotta go out and be totally, just be as real as you can, as real as you're comfortable with anyway.
The creative process is something I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight, because I got a lot of people that want to do these types of things. You know, they want to do a podcast, they want to do a blog, or they want to do a YouTube channel. And I think everybody should do everything. They should create as much as they want and stop comparing yourself, which is something that I learned from you guys, is just stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop trying to compete with this person or that person, or compare yourself with this person, and just do your thing and you'll find your people. But I mean, I think everybody should do it, man. If you're thinking about it, everybody should do a podcast. Don't you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, you should figure out what your passion is and hone your craft a little bit. And I think the trick is to try and it's like to try and keep readjusting your goal to be the best, because you could probably be the best. You know, no one else in the world could be you as good as you. Yeah. So if you just if you start there instead of trying to copy this, I mean, it's okay to take inspiration from different places. We take inspiration from all over the place. You know, but if you just don't try and be something you're not, and don't do it for money.
Like the fake it till you make it thing. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah,
there are actually people that believe in that, right?
Yeah.
You think it works?
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Man, just posing in a power pose will change your state of being. So isn't that faking it till you make it?
Getting some headshots, you mean? Like get some professional headshots? No,
just like put your arms up and just go, wow. And I mean, it changes the way you feel.
I think
buy some Spreaker followers, purchase some Spreaker listeners, you know.
Well,
Kind of fake it till you make it.
who's successful that
No, not that kind. Not that kind of fake.
No,
it till
no,
you make it.
that's
no. That's not being.
That's not faking. That's
cheating. Yeah.
But faking, I think, I mean, we just pretended we knew. We're still pretending we know how to podcast. But I mean, you show me one successful person that wasn't faking it till you make it. Because I mean, it's kind of like that. I mean, even if you're just doing a plumbing business, I mean, when you start that plumbing business, I mean, maybe some people that they've been working for this other plumbing guy their whole life, so they know the ins and outs of the business. But I mean, I don't know. At least half of business owners are probably, you don't know all of how you're jumping off a cliff to some extent.
Well, I wonder now, who do you guys listen to? Like, isn't it No Agenda? Is that y'all's favorite podcast? I'm just curious. Do you guys have a favorite podcast?
If I had to, I don't know. It'd be No Agenda. If I just go by volume that I listen to, it'd probably be No Agenda or Joe Rogan. Or I've been listening to a lot of Snake Bros lately. But
Okay.
I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot more audiobooks these days. I'm in an
Really?
audiobook phase
Yeah.
right now where I'm chewing through a lot of audiobooks. I had a ton of books on my phone and a bunch of Audible credits. And I'm just, for about a year, I've been going through books like crazy. And I still do listen to podcasts. It's a nice break, but it tends to be, I've been back and forth between No Agenda and Joe Rogan. I mean, Joe Rogan's had some great guests on lately. So, that's still a good discovery place for me to find.
I don't know. I just don't, and this is something I wanted to talk to you guys about. I talked to Brisson about this, but I just don't find Rogan's show that interesting anymore. Like when he talks about political stuff or even pop culture, it's so boring to me now. However, he does epic shows, man. Like I'm talking about historical type of shows. The show he did with Bob Lazar on, I've got people robbing that just because on YouTube, just because we talked about it, like robbing the review videos and stuff. People stealing my YouTube videos simply because we talked about that show. And I think they're just trying to get traffic because the Joe Rogan name's on there. But I'm wondering, what did you guys think about that, man? Do you think Joe Rogan believes Bob Lazar?
I didn't listen to it yet. But I mean, the one I did listen to recently, like I would, Hotep Jesus on there was fantastic. So I do like, and I'm an Eric Weinstein fan. So, there's just a couple guys that lately, he
was pandering a bit to the.
I get in a Joe fucking streak where you just, hammer into a Joe streak where I'll hammer into a couple of those, and then I'll get into a No Agenda streak, and then I won't listen to a podcast for a week or two.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the Bob Lazar thing, I think Joe did a pretty good job. And I think he's genuine in his interest. It just makes you wonder why he messed up on the UFO thing on his show. He didn't he didn't follow the right path on that. But Lazar's genuine, I think. I mean, he seems genuine. Like I got the sense that Joe was pushing him pretty hard and he was being pretty honest. I mean, it makes you wonder, What do you think?
I think he was being honest, but everybody nowadays is calling the guy a shill.
Who Bob or
what's that?
Bob?
No, Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe. Well, yeah. I mean, I do subscribe to that a little bit as well because he stays within some bounds. He stays within the lines now. There's some boundaries that he's there. Do
you know what I heard that I didn't realize until this week? That he's on pace to be making like next year or this year to make $50 to $100 million.
Who is Joe Rogan?
Off of the podcast, yeah. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard.
$100 million for podcast,
and I heard it from someone that isn't bullshitting to bullshit for sure.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money just for a podcast. You never would think that anybody would make that kind of money.
Well, I think he's got over 2 billion downloads at this point.
Yeah, that's insane.
It seems off.
Well, maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I just like the old stuff because it seemed like he was more open-minded.
No, I agree with you.
When he had Duncan on all the time and he had his buddies on all the time, they would talk about, everything was on the table. There wasn't like eyes rolling or anything like that. And that's what he does now. And I do wonder,
On the
how
low
much
end, it's
of-
millions, I would say. You know, on the low ends, it's like, I would say on the low end, it's 5 to 10 a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I wonder how much
who knows how much
he-
he's just making off YouTube, man. Like, the dude's doing fucking 30 to 50 million fucking hits an episode right now between YouTube and fucking audio.
You got to watch the F-bombs, brother.
Oh,
you know this.
right.
You done dropped 7 of them already.
Do you have a ticker?
No, I don't have a delay or nothing. If I had a broadcast delay, we're working on getting that. But if I had that, you'd probably be cut out of the show. You wouldn't even hear you talk, man. You know, but
I'm sorry, Joe.
but no, what I'm saying is like he doesn't. I wonder if he's aware of his influence. I mean, obviously he's aware of his influence. He's always said that he didn't care, right? I don't care. I'll just say whatever's on my mind. But I don't think that that's the case anymore. Like, I think that he's adapted over time because he is worried about what people think about him, because he knows he's being looked at. Because when he started this, I really believed him when he said he didn't care what people think. But now, if something's ridiculous, he doesn't talk about it unless it's somebody like Bob Lazar, which I think he kind of redeemed himself with that. But I just feel like we're being teased, man.
Yeah, I agree,
That's
man.
what I
He's
feel like.
he's talked to enough. For example, the climate change debate. He's talked to enough people that have given him pretty good evidence that we should be suspect of what's happening with that topic, and yet he still just he won't challenge the other people, the other side that come on. I feel like he challenges one way only. He challenges He challenges as a proponent of the mainstream only. It doesn't really challenge the other way. Like, he won't challenge a skeptic on the things that he's learned from other guests. That's what frustrates me.
Well, you guys just got through talking to Michael Shermer, right? So he's the most well-known skeptic on the planet, I think. And I'll be straight up with you. I have a hard time talking to skeptics. I think that I just can't get on the level with them, because in my mind, there are most of them that I've talked to. Now, this is just my experience, but most of the people that call themselves skeptics that I've talked to like that are emotionally invested in trying to disprove something.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, I want to
You
have him
feel that
back
way,
on. I
too.
want to have him back on and do some really debate with him a little bit more. We kind of opened up the doors a little bit, had him on. We talked about some common interest in free speech and censorship and stuff like that, which was important. But I struggled with not challenging him a little bit on some stuff, and because it's frustrating to me as well. They just, this null hypothesis that they seem to use as an excuse why nothing is real. Nothing is credible because you can't prove it's real. Well, that doesn't mean that you should just throw it in a bucket and ignore it. I mean, they're really not approaching it in the right way.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like
I
feel like it's the opposite. They should be doing the opposite, where there's some mystery there until it's proven otherwise. Not that there's nothing there until it's proven otherwise.
Maybe. But at the same time, you're not going to change his mind.
No, that's the thing. And I mean, well,
So what's the
maybe.
point?
I mean, maybe.
I mean, I don't want to argue with Michael Shermer. I'd rather
I do.
spend time
I
talking
want
to
to argue with him because, fuck yeah.
I don't think it's going to go well.
Sorry, Joe.
I don't think it's going to go well.
We should have did a practice round before he started the show.
Because
Are y'all doing that on purpose, by the way, just to prove to me that you're going to do it no matter what?
No,
dropping those F-bombs.
No, I
Like
genuinely
that?
forget.
Is it a Canadian thing?
It's just too casual.
I was just talking about Darren at work the other day. Just like he said the F word
In a
like
meeting.
3 times
Like-
in one sentence. So I mean, he's really doing well. He's trying not to do it, and he's doing well.
Y'all work in construction?
He does, yeah. Well, so do I. but-
Okay. Well,
It was
I
a
don't have a
manager
problem with
setting
people that
meeting. It was
swear.
a manager
I don't.
meeting setting, though.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that knows me, they know I curse like a sailor anyways. Like, everybody that knows me for real, it's just I like to speak to a broad audience. To be honest with you, it's good for sponsorships
Yeah.
and gaining listeners.
Yeah,
you know?
we've been thinking about it. We just very hard. So I'll
We
go
had-
through. Can I go through a couple of my favorite podcasts?
Yeah,
move
thank
on?
you.
So Aeon
Please.
Byte. Aeon Byte is a good one I like to listen to. Oh Culture, another one. And No Agenda, of course, for my mainstream thing. Before CE5s, I listened to Open Minds. Before D&D, I listened to Dragon Talk. Before Our Big Dumb Mouth is a good one as well. They're friends of ours. Open Mind, talked about that. THC, of course. So those are, and then Skeptical. You know, those are some of my sort of go-tos. The Conspiracy Farm.
I like THC a lot. I like Alex Sakaris' show a lot. Skeptico. I thought, I never did listen to that show because I thought that show was all about being a skeptic about everything.
Yeah.
And that's why. And I was like, man, that's a weird title for a show for somebody that he's not a skeptic when it comes to the things like metaphysics and stuff. He's really open-minded about a lot of stuff, and he's not afraid to go at anybody. That's what I like about him. He'll go at anybody if he doesn't agree with you.
Yeah.
I think we need more of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So when are you going to do this? When you guys, I can't wait to hear Graham actually just go at somebody. And I don't mean go at him like, mean, like trying to be mean or anything, but really get a skeptic on and just debate him, like hardcore debate him.
It's not really, honestly, I would argue with him over some basic stuff, but he's the master debater probably. I'd like to do like a debate on either climate change or vaccines with somebody like that, and then have us bring somebody else on and do that,
Yeah.
I'd really want to do.
Yeah, I don't mind hosting debates.
A
That's
geoengineering, like a geoengineering or climate change.
I'm not going to debate Michael Shermer because he's going to spout off a bunch of papers, and I'm going to be like, chemtrails.
You think? Oh yeah, he's kind of intimidating. Yeah, to me, he is. I get intimidated by a lot of guests. Do you guys get that still? Do you get intimidated by certain people and their knowledge still to this day?
No.
I do sometimes, yeah.
Graham gets nervous quite a bit. He gets nervous.
Well, I don't really get nervous. What I get is, am I going to be able to have a conversation with the guy or girl based on my own thoughts and research?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't feel like it's enough because some of these people have put their whole life into what they've studied, and they're coming on, they're spending time with you, and you want to make it worth it to them.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, man. Because we're covering all these different topics. Like we're dipping our toe into hundreds of different topics, and these people some of them have investigated one or two for decades, and they know it deep. So I understand, man. That's what happens to me too.
I'm just comic relief, so it's pretty easy. I don't have a lot of pressure. I'm just here to break the tension, loosen up the atmosphere a little bit. Honestly, I get more intimidated coming on a show like this where I got to come up with shit to say.
Yeah.
Is shit okay? I think
well, you don't have to come up with anything to say. You can just sit in the background. I'm just happy you're here.
That's true. I'm happy to be here. But I don't get...
No, but it's a good point. It's way more intimidating coming on somebody else's show for me.
Why?
Because we gotta answer questions instead of asking them.
I'm getting more comfortable with it now, but definitely like a couple of years ago, it would definitely be. I hate going on shows because it's like, oh God, what am I going to say? I feel like I have a little more value to add to the conversation these days, but still not a lot. 2 hours is a long time. I could give you 20 minutes.
So I'm going to give you guys some feedback after I came on your show about the topic of magic. It's been the biggest discussion that I've had with people since I was on y'all's podcast, and just tell you some of the stuff that I've talked about and get your feedback on that. It might actually surprise you.
Fantastic. I got some questions for you on that too.
Yeah, we'll be right back with the Grimerica. You guys don't go anywhere.
Still live on YouTube, just so you don't say anything crazy.
BitChute.
Damn.
Yeah,
Darren.
Now we don't get recommended, you prick.
7 F-bombs right off the bat. I was like,
was there 7 or I can't believe there's that.
I feel like he's got a golf score clicker where it's just like ting, 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 ting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't count them. Other people do because they know. They're like, oh, Joe, there's one. There's another one.
Am I winning? Am I setting a record? Should I go
people,
for it?
What really pisses me off is people come at me about that like I give a shit if they cuss or not. I don't care if you cuss. It ain't about that. It's about the type of show I'm trying to do. That's all. It's not about cursing or your nature or your character. or none of that bullshit. I cuss like crazy. It's just, I want everybody to listen to the show. Children, adults, old folks, Christians. I want a broad audience. And I've never heard in my life somebody go, man, I'm not listening to this show. They just don't curse enough, you know? But you have heard people say, yeah, I can't handle the potty mouth stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. 100%. Yeah, we've thought about it. We've tried. We might even, we were thinking of even just bleeping them out and stuff too. So
You guys don't have to do that though. Y'all got a large enough. Y'all got y'all's thing going on. You don't have to worry about it.
no, it's for
Very
it's for
established.
other platforms.
Oh yeah, like maybe syndicating with terrestrial radio or something. You mean?
Well,
Yeah.
we've had some stuff come up in the past, so and they're just gonna put a bunch of commercials in it. Fuck.
Oh yeah, the other
No, well,
podcast I forgot about was
I want
Ruined
control over
Soup
my
as well.
leverage.
Well, if it, I don't think, like, I've only got a few advertisers, and they all pretty much are that way too.
Yeah.
I don't even read the emails. Or I don't even tell Graham about them. Graham doesn't even know about the advertising opportunities because I just delete them.
Yeah. Well,
Honestly, you
that's what
don't
I'm
even
saying,
want to
man.
know because
We do two
Then you'd be
different types
thinking
of
about
shows.
then I'll be pissed at my lack of support even more when I see what the number is at the bottom of the email. No, honestly, we had a conversation with some people like that one time, and the number was like, we were like, no thanks.
Well, it's too much. Like you'll if you get a certain amount of support anyways, then what's the point? Why cut your show down to away from something that it already is that a lot of people like? I like the way you guys the show. Would I let my son listen to it? Probably not. He's got a few more years till I'd say, yeah, check this podcast out.
Yeah.
But
We thought
But I
about
don't-
having someone bleep it all and then like going and releasing a
Bubba the
clean
Love
feed.
Sponge tried that, and it was the annoyingest show I ever heard in my life. Thank God you guys didn't do that.
Yeah, I talked to my buddy Rob over at Libsyn too, and he was like, he's like, there's a couple other shows that have done that, and their clean shows are getting like next to nothing for interest.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like that guy curses so much. I mean, he doesn't have a vocabulary. It's amazing to me how he got into professional radio without a vocabulary. But anyways, he curses so much that the whole show was just beeps, beep, 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 and eventually he had to go back to. I think he had to go back to the way he was doing it before, like not cursing or just podcasting. But if you're podcasting and you're doing okay with it, then who cares, man?
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll stick to our vow of poverty.
Yeah, you guys ain't poverty shit. You guys got your own studio and stuff, man.
Barely. But it's all good.
We sleep here under the table.
I send you guys $3.33 every month. I try
Oh, you're
to.
awesome, dude. Thanks.
We send you $2.22.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, it don't say Grimerica on it. Are you doing it from a hidden name?
I just did it like 10 minutes ago.
Did you?
Yeah. I was checking out the website and I seen the donate button. So
Yeah,
I hit it. It is just so tempting. I tell people to hit the donate button so much that I just hit the button.
support the show.
Yeah. Including the Joe Roop show.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, we're going back now, but you guys. I'm kind of intimidated talking to y'all, man, because I mean,
No, come on,
shit, what are we
Joe.
going to talk about, right? We're both podcasters. We like to ask questions.
If you get nervous, just go straight into D&D and Graham will regale you. He'll go into
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that's another topic we can talk about, but I'm going to segue it into Stranger Things, though. But I'm going to talk about magic first.
I haven't watched any of that stuff. Just so you know. I don't watch TV.
It's Netflix.
Damn, man, you don't watch TV, don't do nothing. Amish?
Definitely not Amish. I'm too busy making content.
All right, 1-800-588-0335 is the call-in number. If you want to call in and ask Grimerica a question, it's unscreened. God, I hope your audience, I probably shouldn't even said that, but it is unscreened lines. You can call in, and if you want to ask any questions, you can also text into the show, 501-777-5631, and you can email us at contact@lightingthevoid.com during the broadcast. And I want to say thank you again to Patrick for hooking this up. You know, Patrick, by the way, was a listener of y'all's, I believe, before he came over to the show. So this show that show I did with you guys when y'all talked to me about magic, right? And I went into the old Western style initiatic Golden Dawn system. I was trying to explain that, and it got a ton of good feedback. I actually never did get the chance to thank you guys for how many. I think I got a lot of listeners just from that show.
Fantastic.
Honestly. Like
That's
new
great.
listeners, you know?
Well, and I've been thinking about that show ever since, Joe, because I've been sort of on my own path now as well and learning lots about that. And kind of, I think you released a little bit of fear that I probably had around some of that stuff. And yeah, I wanted to talk to you more about that as well.
Yeah, the fear thing is something it's really weird when it comes to magic, because I'll get in these modes of people listen to the broadcast where I'm not afraid to talk about it at all. And then I'll do a little bit more studying. And then the following week, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to back off this a little bit and not, have people be afraid of it just a little bit. So I want everybody to know that I'm on my own journey with this too. It's not that I'm totally convinced that magic is 100% safe and there's nothing wrong. It's not that at all. I struggle with the fear side of it constantly.
Yeah.
And I've changed my mind constantly.
Yeah. So do you, because I listened to this book after our show. Well, actually, it was just more recently.
What book?
It was Damien Eccles' book on high magic. And I wanted to talk, it reminded me of you, Joe, because he kind of broke down the Golden Dawn stuff as well in a really simple way and kind of demystified it. And it reminded me of how, of your view on it. Do you know him and his take on all that?
Damien Eccles?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I know what book you're referring to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, there's a lot of people. Well, I didn't know this, but I just found out there's people that still think that he's guilty, even though he was proved innocent. So that's a touchy subject to begin with.
Wow.
Right? And I don't know why they think that, because of all the evidence aside shows that he was innocent, But anyways, I've read 2 of his books, and he absolutely uses the Golden Dawn system. It doesn't really talk about a lot of other magic that he uses, but he brings up the Golden Dawn, and he really didn't get into too much detail about it. In fact, he talks about in his book High Magic, he talks about how he made the rituals, like the banishing rituals and the middle pillar rituals and stuff like that. He kind of started to learn the fundamentals of why you do that stuff to begin with.
Yeah.
And made him into his own thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, is he kind of demystified the pentagram a little bit as well, which I think we talked about when you were here, like the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram is different than I think what a lot of people think of, right? It's more about a cleansing and banishing the negativity from yourself, isn't it? Like, it's got such a weird connotation, and unless it's just me, but I think it's got a weird connotation in society, and the whole pentagram thing itself is like, and I'm pretty sure that's what you were saying about when we chatted back then.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm still learning about this stuff too. But what I've learned along the way, when I started doing the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, I first thought, okay, this is like a warding. This is me drawing a circle, invoking archangels, and warding elemental things, and just getting all the bad stuff away from me. Now it's kind of like brushing my teeth. It's something I do, like it's like brushing my teeth, right? But I still study the meaning of it. And what I'm starting to understand, and this is a little different than what I've talked to, I think, than what I talked to you about on the show, is so the pentagram, the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram is a statement of declaration saying that I am here in the center point of the universe on a 2D level. I'm for those flat earthers out there, I'm on flat land, right? And it's kind of like or maybe it's 3D, but it's pretty much not getting into the aspect of the globe or anything above 3D. So it's just making that statement. I got my feet planted here flatly. I'm drawing a circle, and the pentagram represents the flat land. So you make the circle around you, and you make a statement that you are the center of that. Now, it's not to say you're God, but it's to say that you're aware of that point. You know, you've seen the circle with a dot in the middle that represents the sun. So imagine that 2D statement. And so that's like an elemental thing. Elemental things like earth and elements is the lower side of high magic, which is, you know, on this earth. And when you get into the hexagram rituals, that's when you start making a statement that you understand that you're in a more of a hologram, or not a hologram, but let's just say like the cube of space. And so there's so many correspondences with this stuff. You start learning that, okay, that's what it means. It's not just a wording. It's also a statement that you're aware of where you are in the universe. Now, obviously, we don't know that we're the center of the universe, because we don't even know where that is. But it's more of saying that from a consciousness point of view and a magician's point of view, I am the center on the flat land. And then when you get into the hexagram, you're saying I am the center in the cube of space. And so it's like, that's why the elements are on the lower part. Then you got the planets and stuff on the bigger part, right? Because if it makes sense when you think about it. But the earth's not flat. That's not what I'm saying. But you get what I'm getting at a little bit. And I'm still trying to understand this too.
Yeah. So would you agree that like the pentagram has been unfairly defined in our culture?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
How far back does that go?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no idea when it got demonized or whatever, but it's just a star.
Literally demonized.
Yeah, literally demonized. Now, if you draw an upside down pentagram, that's one thing, and there's a whole other thing to understanding what that means too. But
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about as well. Huh.
But it's just a pentacle. People say a pentacle is just a star. It's a 5-pointed star that represents all the elements plus spirit. It also represents the microcosmic man, and the microcosm, right? There's nothing scary about it. And if you keep the tip pointed up in Gnosticism, they teach you that represents the, white magic, the ascension, good magic. You're trying to rise up to a certain level. And if you got it pointed down, that's a fallen state. So they use it in different ways to invoke different things, but it's not the symbol itself isn't scary. And I think I had a discussion with a friend of mine about Freemasonry, and you always hear that too. Well, Freemasonry is not bad. It's just, at the top levels in the 33rd degree. And I've got uncles that are 33rd degree Freemasons, and they're not evil dark tower people trying to run the earth. They're just not. It's just Freemasonry takes in all the religions and all the mysteries of the world and everything, puts it in a box and says, okay, we're going to acknowledge that there's one creator of the universe, and we don't care who you call it. And then we're going to do the rituals to kind of represent that. But it's also based in the Kabbalah. But what I'm getting at is a lot of people are just afraid of what they don't know and understand. And the media makes it. I mean, look at Sabrina, that show, right?
Yeah.
That show is going to make everything look satanic. Everything.
What do you think of The Magicians? Have you seen that show?
I like that show. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
it's a little,
yeah.
It's a little, kind of like Doctor Strange, where they blow certain things out of proportion. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like it.
I like Doctor Strange. I have seen that.
But it's you have seen that one, right?
Yes.
But it's not but then again, I'm not telling everybody to go out and start drawing circles and reading grimoires and doing magic, because what you're tapping into is real, right? And every magician that I've talked to on the show, the real ones, have all told me that magic is absolutely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing, it's dangerous. And a lot of people think they know what they're doing, but they don't.
I think maybe it's more that a lot of people think they know what they want, but they don't.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think that's part of it. That's a big part of it, but I think there's also unintended consequences.
If you can't get into that shit until you got your work figured out. So you've done your own work.
I still just stick with the safe stuff, man. What's safe? What do I know that's safe?
Well, protection.
Prayer and meditation is
Yeah,
safe.
yeah.
A banishing ritual is safe. A middle pillar
protection.
is safe.
Yeah.
I don't do any
Grounding is safe. That stuff is safe.
Yeah.
Yoga.
Have I ever pulled out any big guns in my life? I'd be lying to you if I said I never had. But when you see how it works, you don't want to. It's not something you want to play with anymore.
Yeah.
I don't really do magic.
Well, you do.
I believe in it. You know, I think I can. Affect,
we all do it.
I think. Yeah, I think
you're doing it. You're doing it.
I believe I can affect the
affirmations and all
universe.
that.
I can affect reality, base reality at some level.
Sure, yeah. And I said that on your show too. I said you don't have to. There's this idea that you have to study magic to tap into your own power, and you don't. Magic is just like one system. That's it. There's tons of systems out there.
I use the system of trying to get things into your subconscious.
There you go. Yeah, that's what it's all about, anyways. Really.
Well, that's what they're talking. Yeah, that's
so
what.
Once
they're
you can
talking
get
about.
that recurring message into your subconscious, the subconscious is kind of like that other realm. It's like instead of the subconscious, you can look at it as this is the realm where you're manifested as a being, but in that other realm, you're just sort of a point of energy or whatever the hell it is. But that's kind of why, like, the healing and stuff has to get done on that level as well, because on this level, you're not even, maybe you're not even physical.
You're absolutely right. And 90% of the time, that's what magicians are doing. They're trying to reprogram themselves by being aware of the subconscious and getting involved. The only difference is, you know, how they say it takes like 90 days to break a bad habit or whatever, right? There's something about magic where, let's say I'm trying to quit smoking, right? And I want to, and this is small stuff, man. This is not like casting demons or whatever, but I want to quit smoking, and I'm going to try not to smoke for 90 days so it becomes a habit. You can do that, right? But that doesn't make you, that could be magic defined, but that doesn't make you a practicing magician. And that's something that I learned from a guest I've had on, that he was right. Like, everybody does magic, but there's not that many practicing magicians. All right. Practicing magicians are kind of aware of it. And so what they'll do is they'll say, okay, I want to quit smoking. And they'll create a ritual that involves everything that taps into their subconscious, the timing of the ritual, the scents, the smells, everything about it, the colors, whatever they got to do. And then the more they get into the drama of the ritual, in other words, the more they tap into, and this is going to sound kind of weird, but the more they tap into the feminine side or the drama or the art of the ritual, the more powerful it becomes. And it really taps into whatever the hell that is that we don't know what it is. We're trying to figure out, into the universe that goes, oh, okay, I totally understand what he's saying now. This is what he wants. He wants to quit smoking. And so you do that, and then you forget about the ritual, and you're like, man, I really want a cigarette, blah, blah, blah. And the next day you go buy a pack of cigarettes and something crazy happens to where you can't smoke anymore. You'll become allergic to it, or something will happen to where you just can't smoke anymore. That's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't even go through. You don't even have to go through the 90 days. It just happens instantly.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just an example, right? It could happen in 90 days. It comes back through natural law. It's not like miracles or what they call thaumaturgy. This stuff happens in the natural, coincidental format. It always does.
Yeah. Darren,
you should quit smoking.
Darren, I'm reading this book, also following this book called I don't know if you ever heard of this one, Joe, the Psychonaut Field Manual by Arch Trader Blue Fluke. And it's got
Psychonaut. That sounds like chaos magic, right?
It's Arch Trader Blue Fluke.
Okay.
And it's got a non-dogmatic sort of banishing ritual, but instead they call it the soul resonance, I guess, where you're sigilizing your subconscious, your superconscious, and your self-conscious, and you're vibrating that out. Like, you turn it into a simple sigil, and then you come up with you name yourself in a narrative way, like all those three levels, like your subconscious, your superconscious, and your self-conscious. And then
superconscious?
Yeah.
What's a superconscious? I never even heard of a superconscious.
That's your higher self, let's say.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they talk about a lot of reprogramming your subconscious,
If you resonate with that more, like if that makes more sense to you, then that's what you should do.
That's what
You
I
know,
love
I
about
used
it is really it's all about what resonates with you and what really because I mean what it's done for me learning about all this stuff after I talked to you when I think about it probably Joe like our conversation probably really and I probably said this at the time but it inspired me to really start I don't want to say practicing now because it's
Please don't say
that type-
practicing
it's-
magic because that makes me feel bad.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Trying.
Leading them
Let's
to
say
hell.
trying, or I mean, there's another. It's not. See, practicing it's got dual meanings, right? I mean,
You mean understanding the fundamentals of, how it works?
Yeah,
maybe?
and trying it and meditating and starting to come up with a foundational practice. And again, practice is in there again. And it's your own thing, but like I look forward to the meditation now. I look forward to like I've been thinking lately, like I just wish I could just stay at home for a couple days and just read and meditate and
Would you do
draw
that if
and
you stayed home,
create.
though, or would you just be like,
No, I
on
haven't. No, I haven't.
You'd be in
I've
the
been trying.
chats.
No, I've been trying to stay out of the
I'm
chats,
jealous
off
of
the phone.
those that get to do that.
And
I
I've
don't
been
get to do
thinking
that
like
stuff
I'd
anymore.
like to do it for like days on end. Like I have a craving for just learning more and just sitting down and doing some of it. And I try to put aside a couple hours. It's tough though, but you know, there is that sort of foundational breathing practice. Like that's what I like about Damien Eccles' thing and the Blue Fluke manual is they both give you that real foundational, like meditative breathing, visualization, focus. Like you're supposed to do that for months before even, like you were saying, Darren, like have some sort of foundation before you even get into that other stuff.
Yeah, you're just going to make yourself miserable.
One of the reasons why I wanted to come on your show and talk about that too was a lot of the misconceptions of Crowley and the misconceptions of black magic versus white magic and the Golden Dawn and stuff. There are so many people, the media is fraught with BS about it. And it's the satanic panic type thing.
Yeah.
And there is so much crap out there that's not true that you can tell people just aren't doing their research when it comes out of their mouth. You just know they aren't. They don't do their research. And it's frustrating. Specifically, like how the Golden Dawn is related to Aleister Crowley. When, if anybody just does a minimal amount of research into the history of that, they know that he joined the Golden Dawn. It was that's what Crowley wanted. He wanted to join the Golden Dawn. It was a dream kind of his, kind of like he wanted to be a Mason, but they shut him out. So he created his own system. But that's not what he says, but that's what happened. And he got booted out. There were a lot of people that didn't like him. There were people that did like him, but he didn't create the Golden Dawn, and he was only a member of it. And then he created the OTO, which has absolutely nothing to do with the Golden Dawn. It's his form of Freemasonry mixed in with the mysteries of magic, sex magic, and Tantra, and the understanding of the male and female energy, right? And creation. That's what the OTO is about. And it's and not to mention Thelema and Love is the Law and all that stuff, but it could be looked at as a swingers club, which again has nothing to do with the Golden Dawn. Now, I'm not coming against Crowley or saying he's an evil satanic guy, because there's also that part of research that people don't understand about him, that he would taunt the public. You know, he would say, I sacrificed 99 children in a ritual, and he didn't sacrifice 99 children. He did a operation to where he spilled on the ground and it didn't work. Right. And so he would put that stuff in the book. So he liked the attention of the media saying he was an evil bastard, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's why I wanted to kind of talk to you about it again. Cause it's, and like you said, it's not like you're saying that there's no risk and it's not safe. Like you can't just go ahead and play around with it too much.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that'd be like me picking up the Necronomicon, which there's a whole argument if that's even real or not. Going out into a cemetery and just invoking dead people, right?
Yeah.
I want to talk to spirits, which some chaos magicians believe if you do it in a proper way, you could do that.
Yeah.
Or just go out and invoke Lucifer because you need something. No big deal. As long as you look at it like it's a myth, you'll be okay. Well, I don't know for a fact that it's a myth yet. I don't know, right? So I'm not going to do that. And you just don't know what people are going to do. And that's why a long time ago, they kept it secret. It wasn't to scare people. It wasn't because there was evil people in a dark tower doing stuff. It was because it was misunderstood. Now, is there like bad satanic groups? Are there sacrifice? Are there infiltrated? Has the occult been infiltrated? Yeah, absolutely, on every level. And there's definitely evil inside of it, but it's so misunderstood. It's one of the most frustrating things in my life.
What do you think about not being able to talk about it? Like a lot of what I've been reading is like don't say you're a magician, don't talk about your practice, don't talk about the results. Like is that a pretty contemporary warning as well, or is that like what about for you and I right now? Like and us, like can I talk about a couple experiences? Like is that going to ruin some future potential, or what do you think?
Well, you're dealing with everybody's energy, focus, beliefs, and will, right? So when you're speaking to a wide audience, then you're dealing with everybody's stuff. Now, I don't know. Here's what I'm trying to say, because I don't want to get too
but it's a specific question, because
confusing. Like if let's say you did magic and you were trying to manifest something, and even your parents will tell you this when you're a kid. If you really want something and you go after it, if it's your will to manifest this thing in your life and you've got an idea how to get it done, don't talk about it. Your parents would even tell you that. Don't talk about it. Just do it and it'll happen. When you go around saying, hey, I got an idea, I'm going to do this, and I got this idea to build this patent or whatever you're going to manifest, and this isn't even the magic part, by the way, and you start talking about it, something happens when everybody else's beliefs and ideas and their consciousness and focus and energy gets involved. It directly affects you somehow, and it makes it harder to become real. And the catch-22 about that is you're so excited about these things that you want to share it. You want to tell the world that there's something bigger and more powerful to us than what we've been told, and you want to share that with everybody. But when you do, the weird part about this, and this has to do with initiation, is when you do that, it directly affects your processes and what you do in a negative way, I think. In my experience, it does.
Yeah, that's for the manifesting type. What about just for more of a less of a wanting something, but more of a protection thing? Like, because there is different.
No, I don't think there's anything. I mean, we have Jeff Harmon that comes on here, and he warns heavily against ritual magic of any kind, and yet he talks about the rituals that he does.
Yeah,
like a lot of the stuff that he does is in the Golden Dawn, and him and I disagree on a few things, but I respect him because he comes out and he believes it 100% that ritual magic is the most powerful thing on the planet that a human can do, and it's also the most dangerous thing. But we talk about protection quite a bit, and even he agrees that banishing rituals, grounding rituals, even magic squares, angelic squares, things like that are safe. They're fine.
Maybe I can tell you about a story or a couple instances I've had. Then,
yeah, we got to take a break, but I definitely would love to hear a story. You got a story about how it worked for you?
Oh yeah, a couple. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we do got to take a break. We're with Grimerica. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Damn, I didn't even look at the phone to see if anybody called.
What's the number? Do I have to put in the chats?
Yeah, it's 1-800-588-0335.
588?
Yep.
0335?
Yeah, I never, I've missed so many damn phone calls just because I don't pay attention to it. Shit, yeah. Somebody, no, that was yesterday. Never mind. Now, are you afraid, like, if you talk about it, that it's not going to work if you do it again or something?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of it. I'm just curious as to what you think, because a lot of what I've been learning about is sort of keep shit to yourself. And for being but I mean, I think, it's hard because a lot of that comes from hundreds of years ago and quotes from magicians over the years and the decades. And it's like, now we're in a different time where we do a podcast and like, and part of our podcast is about being genuine and talking to people about what's really happening and what's reality. So I feel like if it's not for the wrong intention, I think it's fine. But I just wanted to get your take on it, you know?
Yeah, man, if it's a story about how you protected yourself, then I think it's totally cool to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to affect your
Any future-
operations in any way.
Yeah. That's what I thought, kind of, you know.
Because that is so powerful. I mean, even if you look at it from a Jungian point of view, it's so widely understood that it works, that there's nothing that you can say about it that's gonna negate what you do. But if you get into like a real system and all the details of it, say like for example, the Golden Dawn. God, I got a headache. I got to take on these aspirins. And you're doing like the 4 adorations every day, and you're doing meditations every day, and you're doing a battery of rituals every day, and you're creating magical tools and stuff. That you don't want to get into the details about that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Yeah. Yeah.
But a banishing ritual that's done by every mystery school, pretty much from Wicca to Western magic to chaos magic to whatever, that's highly understood that it works. Or, yeah, man, that's not going to hurt you in any way.
Yeah. Yeah, man, your chat room's been awesome.
Yeah, but it's the same. Well, you're in there helping. That's good. Some nights it don't do nothing. Like it just won't move.
Yeah.
And then I don't. I hate chat rooms, to be honest with you. I like to focus on the conversation, and if somebody calls in, I'll pick up the phone.
Oh,
That's
dude,
what
I can't do it either when I'm hosting as well. I can't even look at anything.
Well, it's like if I don't do it, then I
But
don't
he
grow.
can piss in a jug while he's driving down the highway at 150 miles an hour. So figure that one out. And texting.
Yeah, we've all had to piss in a jug before, man.
Have we?
I've had to piss back when I used to take like 1 break an hour. I had to piss in a jug on the show, dude. One night.
I
think I was talking to Larry
right
Scranton, by the way.
Did you tell him?
Hell no, I didn't tell nobody, man.
I have a strict policy in not picking up the phone when I'm touching my private parts.
I pulled the fader down.
Or
you know.
shitting. If I'm pooping, no, you're not getting an answer. I actually have an auto
I pulled the
reply.
fader down, switched it to computer speakers, grabbed a jug. I mean, it was so bad I didn't even make it outside, you know.
You and Graham could compare war stories.
Well, you know, I've actually got to take some intermediates too, and somewhere around the 15 mark in the future. But I'm going to make those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put little bits in there and just make them optional for radio stations, because like the buzz here, they're like, man, as soon as you get a broadcast delay, when we know for a fact that you can hit that button and get all the cursing out, they're going to play my show, man. And the buzz is a high watt station right here in Little Rock, man. So I'm trying to raise money for this thing. All of the broadcast delays are fucking expensive. Have you ever looked at them?
No.
They're ridiculous. All it is a damn button that wipes out the last 8 seconds. And they're so expensive, it's ridiculous. Even the used ones.
It's not digitized? There's not a digital?
No, there's no software that works like the way these work.
A widget?
No widgets, none of that shit. I mean, you can get a delay, but a profanity delay is a whole nother thing.
Does it automatically bleep? I feel like we shouldn't be far off from where it just knows where the swears are. Bleep.
Dude, I found one person that made a software about it, but because they got the market on the shit, they're still charging like $1,500 for the software.
Holy fuck.
And I'm like, man, you guys are assholes. This software looks like you made it with freaking old code from XP. I'm going to go back with a little Bundy. Are there any jingles I can drop? Yeah, I think I do. All right, here we go.
To call Joe, pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. Tonight we're here with Darren Grimes and Graham Dunlop. I almost get those confused sometimes from Grimerica, my favorite podcast on the planet. And you think as much as I would listen to that show, listen to you guys' podcast, that I wouldn't get y'all's names confused. But there's something about your names. If I say them fast, I'll screw them all up. I get them confused. And we were going to talk about, when we came back from the break, Darren, we were talking about magic, and Graham, was going to talk about an experience that he had with protection. But, I want to ask this just real quick, and it's kind of a dumb question, but I got to know, and I probably should know. But where did you guys come up with that name, Grimerica? Did you just put your names together?
I was just going to say, you should call us Graham Grimes and Darren Dunlop. That would be maybe a little better.
Take it easy.
Darren Grimes and Graham Dunlop? Yeah. I don't know.
Dunlop.
That was right. See, I get them confused.
Yeah.
See, Mike had told me just to call you a Graham and the other one Grimes. That's what he said.
There you go.
Or Dunlop and Grimes.
Yeah? Well, you tell Mike if he don't start returning my phone calls, I'm going to block his ass.
Micah don't return anybody's phone calls. He's very special, So, but he's Mike is a good broadcaster, though. I really like him, too. He's another one that I look up to. Really like what he does. But, yeah, man, did y'all did that, right? Did you just put your names together and say, let's put America in there, and then we got Grimerica? Is that how you did it?
No, Darren was hammered one night playing poker. I wasn't there. This was years before Grimerica actually started, and he won the game, and he signed his name. His poker nickname. He signed it just out of the blue, Grimerica.
Wow.
You were probably feeling on top of the world.
I was pretty on top of the world, yep. Probably
and then from that, little signature on the poker table started the Twitter account, and then
then it was a Poker Stars account.
Oh, was it?
And then the Twitter account.
I remember Poker Stars. I used to play the hell out of that.
Then it became a Twitter account in 2011 and a podcast in 2013. So when we started the
website in 2012.
Yeah, December 21st, 2012. It became the name just because we were trying to think of a name, and I was like, I already got 500 Twitter followers with Grimerica. So why don't we just use that? That's what we did. Here we are.
You guys too are the only people that I found that didn't have thousands. So when I did this investigation, okay, and we'll get into your story here, I promise. But I did this investigation to see who was out there faking the funk, and I said I found so many people that had fake Twitter followers because I found these sites because I typed in. Like Dennis is a friend of mine, and he keeps telling me, he's like, look, man, you've got to get more involved with Twitter. And I hate Twitter, honestly. If I'm being honest with you, I hate it. And so I was looking up ways to grow it, and I stumbled upon all these sites where you could buy followers. And I was like, man, what the hell? And I looked around, and then it said, buy speaker followers and downloads and listens. And sure enough, I went and checked out some people that I know, and they've got fake followers, fake accounts, fake Spreaker followers, and just wasn't accusing y'all, wasn't even thinking about it, but just looked at y'all's because you guys had so many followers. And everybody's got a few, you just don't know what the hell they are, but all of y'all's followers are genuine, man. You guys got a crap ton of Twitter followers, man. It's impressive.
Twitter is an art form.
It is. It really is. Yeah, it's not. There's no formula to it.
There is a formula. There was a formula, but they took it away a while ago. Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, you can't do it anymore. You could do it manually. I could talk to you. It's not. It's kind of. We could talk about it. I mean, I don't mind talking about it. It's
I need to know the secret.
Well, there used to be a feature that you could use a program called Crowdfire. I think it was Crowdfire. I don't know. I might be messing that up.
I've used that before.
Anyway, you pay and it'll tell you. It had this feature where I could go in and I could type in, say,
the Higher Side Chats
at Joe Rogan, or the Higher Side Chats, or Joe Roop, or say a guest we just had on, or coast to coast.
Okay, we get the point.
Coast to coast, I would do a lot back in the day. And coast to coast has like 100,000 followers or something like that. So this app gave you the ability to go, and I could now pull up a list, and it would say all the people who are following coast to coast. And then, so you could then go through and, you know, follow a few hundred or 1,000 people over a few days from coast to coast. And then, you know, you'd wait a week or whatever and see how many of them followed you back, and then you'd unfollow the people that didn't. And there was a way to gamify it years ago, but they deleted it. They took that.
Yeah, because every day I'll get 5 followers and 2 unfollowers, 3 followers and 4.
We get a lot of unfollowers too.
And I'm like, good grief, man, this is stupid. Why am I over here? I only got 140 characters. I'd rather just make a video or a podcast or something. But people like it. But anyways, I'll figure it out one of these days. Yeah. So where was I? Your story about the protection magic, because we were talking about banishing rituals and things like that. I think are pretty safe. What happened, Graham? What did you have an experience with?
Well, there's the background is my girlfriend's had for decades. She's had incubus, like demonic encounters in the night, right? And
you talked to me about that on your show. I think.
Yeah.
You didn't say it was your girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah, I probably just said a friend of mine. And it's been one of those things that doesn't happen. Sometimes it goes for quite a long time between encounters, that kind of thing. And doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. It's not really based on location, but the more I think about it, that might have something to do with it. But and she's tried different things. We've tried different things because some of the encounter / attacks were pretty bad. And so after we talked, I think, and after I started to learn about some stuff and think about what to do about it, I decided to try some protection magic, like kind of my own version of a little bit of what we just talked about, like a little bit of chaos and a little bit of ritual and some intention, that kind of stuff. And then I also had some help from a listener who was sort of helping me through learning some magic stuff, and he ended up helping with some stuff for the studio and as well, for her. And so one night I finally did I'm trying to remember so it happened twice. Now the first time I did this thing, I made this, I'm not going to get into too many details. It's just to know that, like, I went through the process, made this protection thing, and did the intention and everything. And that night, my girlfriend had an encounter that was stopped for the first time in decades, dead in its tracks. Like, she's never been able to. We've talked about sort of religious things, like, because I did research on how to stop these things, and it was like, say in the name of Jesus kind of thing, that kind of like religious intention, and casting it away with all kinds of, like, maybe love. There's all these different theories, but it's never worked. Nothing's ever worked until I did this thing, and it stopped it in its tracks. And I didn't know that it did until the next day when she told me about it. And then a couple weeks later, she woke up in the middle of the night. I think I can't remember how I decided to do it again, but I did it again, and she had the encounter, and this demonic entity, turned around and got frustrated and had to leave. And this never happened before. So that was great. I mean, we were making progress. We were like, this is fantastic. Like, she's never had any results before. It's been decades of problems. And the 2 times that I tried this, it worked. And ever since then, with the help of the listener and just doing some different type of work on it, it's got to the point where she's had the visitor, but it doesn't have any hold. It doesn't have any fear. Like, she doesn't fear it anymore. Like, the dynamic has completely shifted. So yeah, just huge success story and huge proof to me that, like, whatever intention I was putting out there was working.
That's fantastic, because that becomes torture after a while. And the problem that I've found with magic is when you want it to work, it doesn't work. So you've got to figure out a way to know it's going to work and forget about it. That's been my experience. Just kind of know that it's going to work and forget about it. Because the more you want it to work, the more that wanting experience is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's really strange, but
that's why the letting go part is so important, right? Yeah.
So you can't even tell us if it was a sigil or a banishing or a nothing. You can't even tell us.
No, I made a symbol sigil kind of thing. It was more.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
And then there was forget about it, or did you expect it?
No. I made it as, I guess I could say, it was probably made as like a talisman or something that I keep, that I can do up at any time and I can keep handy, sort of thing. So it wasn't like chaos magic where you let it go and it's gone. It was just something that I did, but I keep it around. I keep drawings of them around.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you made an amulet, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a talisman. You kind of want that's to pull things towards you, and the amulets.
But I was going to ask that too. Yeah.
That's cool though, and see, they're not tortured by that anymore. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. When you learn this type of thing, that there's some type of power to it. What you got to be careful with is the ego side of it. That's what gets everybody.
That's what I'm trying that's why I'm asking the question about what to say. But I mean, I feel like it's a. You know, it's not like I'm trying to prove it to other people as well. Like, there's some great feedback in your chats about how to deal with this. I really appreciate everybody.
Oh yeah, but
it's fantastic.
You have to understand those people that are giving you feedback are your listeners too.
Oh,
I mean, Patrick, my producer, just texted me and he said I was a listener of Grimerica before I found you.
Yeah.
So you guys don't have a clue. I really don't think you know how much you've helped my show and brought attention to it. I don't know if you know it or not, but most of those people in there, and then a couple of them I've written articles, listen to your show, and they're very knowledgeable. I mean, Amanda wrote an article about, doing shadow work, and then Eyes Open wrote an article about cutting the cords, and there's actually some ritual stuff in there, formula magic in there. I put it up on the Fringe FM because I'm not afraid to put those types of things up. If I think it's going to help you.
Yeah.
Then I'll put it up. I'll talk about it, because when you get haunted at night and you're a grown person, that's torture, man. That's torture. That can't be fun.
No, it's tough because it's over decades too, right? And then nobody can really help with that. I mean, we had spiritual healers trying to help. We had all kinds of stuff, and you wonder. And she's also got chronic health issues that you wonder how much of it is tied to that kind of trauma, right? Is there a tie? Yeah. So that might be, the way to start healing some of the other stuff as well, is by just getting rid of that thing. And I mean, there's also just the basic stuff like smudging and salt and all that help. Like, I mean, Gordon White had some great. He was like, yeah, well, if you've gone that far with it, then it's working and it's gonna stay away. Like it. If once you've broken through that thing, it's great, and it's not coming back, kind of thing.
You want to hear something weird that I started figuring out? I've only touched on this once, but when the stuff is working is when whatever you're doing is really pissing it off. Now, when I say like pissing it off, you mentioned earlier that it got frustrated or whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll get angry or pissed off, and you might even get poltergeist activity. I've been hissed at before, like, that type of hiss where they want to freak you out and get you in that fear mode again. But really they're doing it because they're frustrated, right?
Yeah.
They're frustrated at what's going on. And if you get any clues to that, like it's mad or frustrated, then it's working. You just keep doing it. And there's a lot of things you can do. There's exorcisms, there's banishing, there's, warding, you ward your property, you banish things, you can exercise yourself, you can do what's called an uncrossing if you're not afraid to get into hoodoo, and that stuff works really well. But that's like depending on how bad you're screwed up, that's like a weekly operation almost, with bath and stuff.
Yeah.
And it works, and it's ridiculous, right? Because if you look at it in the real world, you're like, what are you doing? I mean, what you're doing doesn't make sense. If a normal person walked into the room and saw you doing whatever it was you were doing, it wouldn't make sense to them. There's no beginning, middle, or end. It's like they got candles here, they're saying this chant, they're doing this or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why I think people get afraid of it, because I think they believe it's evil, because it just is so, it sounds so wicked to them. You ever heard those audios that when Aleister Crowley's doing his rituals? Have you heard those?
I have, I think. Yeah. It's pretty creepy. Yeah.
It's creepy, right? But what he's doing is getting into the ritual, right? He's getting into the drama of it. The more drama he gets involved with it, the more powerful it becomes, and he loses himself in it. So it'd be like if you did a play, and I don't know if you've ever acted in a play or in school or anything, but once you become that character, then it really becomes alive. And magic is art. It really is. It's the same way when you do rituals. And it's that way in everything, in Christianity, every religion, all the rituals that people do, when they get really involved with it, it changes things energetically. It just does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you do like a ritual, like you listen to Metallica every morning, you wake up in the morning, you turn on Metallica and you headbang and stuff. Well, if you, if you do it daily, that becomes a ritual. If you get really involved with it and lose yourself into what you're doing, it becomes an art form in a way, and it changes your day energetically for some reason. And everybody kind of knows what I'm talking about, I think.
Yeah, and you mentioned the frustration and the annoyance to the other side when you do that. I mean, is that why sometimes people say to laugh at stuff, or even like, sing the Scooby-Doo theme in your head, like to lighten that thing, because that dissipates the energy there or the connection? Or
Right, yeah. And fear is the one thing that they have over you. It's the only thing they have over you, really. If you think about it, fear is like the fetter that binds. And if it's funny, because if you look into any of the old Western rituals, Golden Dawn, Rosicrucian, OTO, whatever, then all of the neophyte rituals, it's the first thing you learn, that whatever this thing is that's behind fear, unreasonable fear, even some people would say, but whatever is pushing that, whatever that force is what is binding you. That's what's making you afraid. That's your enemy. And that's scary to most people, right? Because once you let fear go, well, that means you'll do anything. But most people aren't bad. They're not going to go out and do bad things,
Yeah.
Is Darren still with us, or did he fall
I'm
asleep?
here, yeah. I'm just not very magical.
I think you're a very magical person.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. What about shame? Where does that fit in? Magic.
Shame is bad, man.
Pretty broadly applied to the culture currently, I think.
Well, that's a tough subject. And I'll tell you what, I don't know much about that subject. I have my own shame. There's a very good podcast that if you're open, you have to be very open-minded, but it's called Love, Sex, and the Hidden Agenda. It's a podcast that I produce, and the host is Amalia Ian Karras and Satya Ra Priest, and they talk about that. And we're not talking about just somebody that's felt a little shame from childhood. Their stories are deep, especially Amalia's story. And you come to find out that shame is a vampire of some kind. It's some type of energetic vampire. It's okay to feel bad about something. But the power of forgiveness is when you forgive yourself and you stop judging yourself and you move on. That's what you need to do. Shame is just another part of fear. Shame comes from, it's almost like everything spawns from fear and love. So shame is the way you feel when, okay, I've done this, I feel shameful, so therefore this person's not going to love me anymore. It all spawns from either fear or love. That's every action that we do. And shame is one of the worst things. If you've done something shameful, or that society considers shameful, and something bad, it's hard to say. I mean, you deserve justice is a real thing. Jurisprudence is a real thing. Even on the tree of life, you have to understand cause and effect. If you've done something bad, then you have to accept the fact that you're going to get the effect of it. But you also got to learn to forgive yourself. And even in the New Testament, like people that murdered Christians were forgiven once they came to realize what was really going on. Once they changed their ways, but they still, justice still does what it does.
But then but I still, even that whole religion thing was brought in to sort of, I mean, that's kind of where a lot of that shame probably started creeping into the culture with organized religion.
Ridiculous. Yeah,
because I'm talking more about stuff that you shouldn't be ashamed of. That the shit that's holding everybody back. That's stuck in their head because someone said something when they were a kid, or they got told to shut up, or they said something silly, or they got called short.
Yeah,
that's how I got stuck in addiction.
That's the enemy, man. That's what's plaguing our society.
Yeah, shame and guilt is what kept me in addiction there for a few years. Like it was.
Yeah, 100%. That's what shame leads to. I think is addiction. It's the same sort of thing. So that's interesting to hear love and fear, because I would have thought shame was different. I don't know if.
No, I'm talking about. I'm not talking
useful.
about defining shame by love and fear. I'm saying every action that we do is based in love and fear. Everything we do.
I would agree with that.
It's based in either love, we're trying to get more love, or we're doing it out of fear that we're not going to be loved enough. And we do it from the time since we're a baby, and we get scarred. I mean, this is typical psychology, right? That you have to learn eventually that your parents end up screwing you up, and it perpetuates. Most parents screw their kids up somehow, either by shame, abuse, or something. And then they take that into their adult life. And by the time that they've learned that it's a bad thing to feel that way about themselves, their kids are already full grown, and it's just a cycle that perpetuates, that's caused this society that keeps us divided, where somebody can get on social media and make a judgment, and it turns into a 4-week forum.
That's right.
Where if we were in an evolved society, somebody would do something and say, man, that was messed up. I screwed up. Sorry about that. And everybody forgives them, and we hope they move on. You heal the person, and then you empower the person, and then you give them love, and society moves on, right? You just got to weed out. I believe in natural law. I know I sound a bit confusing, but I just believe in natural law. Yeah.
Do you eat meat?
What's that?
Do you eat meat?
Do I eat meat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some people that were natural law that were iffy about eating meat.
Well, I mean, I eat meat because I was fed meat from the time I was a kid. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it that I don't understand. And it's a good question, man. Why do we have to, why does an animal have to die a day for me to be happy? And I'm an animal lover. I won't kill anything, but I'll eat it if it's on a plate. It's pretty weird, right?
Well, I'm looking to get back into killing my own food, personally.
Do you eat meat, Graham?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So should we, and I see you brought that up, should we carry shame for that?
I know a friend of mine does. He carries a lot. He's trying to be vegan right now, and he's struggling with the whole thing. It's interesting. So I was kind of challenging him a little bit on it, but it's so interesting.
Well, I don't think it does you any good to beat yourself up. You just got to do the best you can, probably. Otherwise, you're just going to end up making it worse. But, I mean, I eat meat. I'd like to get to the point where I was hunting most of my meat. That's where I'm sort of trying to get to over the next 5 years or so, to get to the point where I'm not doing the factory farm meat. But I just think, it's part of the... Because, I mean, I don't think we're very far removed from finding out that plants and trees and all this shit is conscious. That's
kind of what I was saying.
So when that happens, it's like, okay, well.
So what's yeah.
Yeah. So
what's the difference, right? You're saying if you kill a tree, or if you kill a deer, there's
I'd like to. I mean, there's something to. We all joked about it back in the day, but there's something to, saying a little grace before you eat your food, and that's something that'd be good to get back to is, whether it's giving an offering or saying thanks or or whatever it is. And that's kind of why, like, I argue the opposite of Graham, where I'd like to get to the point where I am, killing my own food with my own hands and dragging it out of the bush myself, and then spending the next couple of months eating that and then doing it again. And
I did that so much when I was a kid. It gets tiring after a while, especially if you mess up, which I try not to do, but you try not to make a bad shot or wound an animal. You try to make sure that it doesn't suffer. Then you got to clean the meat right. You got to make sure you don't cut into certain things so it doesn't get too gamey. And it's a very disgusting process, right? But when it's all said and done and cooked, it's great.
That's what I think. There's more reverence to that. There's more connection. There's more. I don't know. There's more something to that than assuming that you're not participating in the process, and from a bunch of cows that never see the light of day, or whatever the hell is going on in these different.
You did say Rogan was your hero, right?
Rogan is not my hero, no.
Well, here's the thing, man. Hunting.
I said I listen to a lot of Rogan podcasts.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
But hunting, in my opinion, is a good thing to do if you need to. It's a good thing to know how to survive. But I don't think that it's a necessary thing in the society we have today, unless you just don't know how to do it and you need to learn how to do it for survival reasons. I totally understand that. But to go out and murder an animal for sport and say, well, they're just going to die from disease, we're actually doing them a favor anyways, that's a cop-out, man. To me, that's like one of those prejudiced people that always say, well, I got black friends, I'm not prejudiced. It's the same thing, right?
So is it better to breed an animal strictly for death?
It ain't about, honestly, it's not about good or bad. It's about being honest with ourselves. These guys are out killing stuff because they enjoy the kill. They enjoy it. They're not doing any favors. Trust me.
But you said you didn't enjoy the kill, but you enjoyed eating the meat.
Yeah, my dad forced me to do it when I was a kid. Forced me.
So I think, I think probably the Indians back in the day got pretty excited when they killed a buffalo and stuff like that and got to eat it, but they also used every part of it and had some reverence for it.
They were more respectful about it for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I can tell you some crazy stories if you want to hear them, but we got to take our news break here. I know we only got a few minutes left with you guys because it's getting into the late night. Canadians. I'm not going to talk bad about Canada, actually, because I used to have this thing against Canadians until I met some really cool Canadian people. Mainly, a lot of my audience is Canadian, until I started listening to you guys. And I thought, you know what, man, Canadians are pretty cool.
Canadians
kind of like a loft above a really cool party, but I think I might come up to Canada one day.
Come in the summer.
We'll be right back, guys. Shit, I'm talking about all kinds of crazy stuff with you guys.
That'll happen.
Man, I gotta cut that track. It's too long.
One more segment? Are they 25 minutes each?
Yeah, I went over on that one a little bit.
But that's okay because you control it, right? You just play. Do you play? You're not stuck inside a loop or anything?
I'm not syndicated with a station yet, but, when the program directors are looking at you and if they see that you don't care about getting out on time and shit, no, they won't fuck with you,
Yeah.
It's all about money and advertisements, man. It's all about, do you got those slots on time for these people and contracts and all that stuff. But no, I mean, see, you think that you don't bring nothing to the table. But here, listen, bro, here I was talking about shame and where it really spawns from. And you're like, well, do you eat meat? Bam. If you think about that shit, that's something, that's why you guys are so good, man, because that's a touchy subject. That's a complex subject, especially if you eat meat and you like animals and you're spiritual and you think you understand shame, right?
Yeah.
It's conflicting. Man.
I mean, the Korean teacher the Korean healer that healed my dad, I went pescatarian for a couple of years because he explained to us that, fish, and this would include plants and anything below fish on the level of consciousness, like their level of consciousness is low enough that we can eat them without feeling shame. Like they don't know that when they're going to die. They don't know. They don't have that level. Whereas like chickens, cows, red meat, and all that, they know. They have a higher level of consciousness. So that kind of made sense to me on a spiritual level, and that might be where I would go back to. But
fish, yeah, I'm with you on the fish thing.
Like I don't think I would kill my own food. I would probably go pescatarian before I started killing my own meat.
What about your own? Would you catch your own fish?
I would. I just don't. I'm not really a fisherman. I don't really like fishing that much. I mean, it's okay, but
you see that Eyes Open chick in there?
Yep.
Eyes Open.
Yep.
Yeah, she found my show through y'all, and she's a
Really?
witch. She's smart as shit.
Yeah, I just downloaded her article. So
she's a tattoo artist as well, but she's smart as shit. So that says a lot about your show. Who you've got listening to your show?
Jeez,
you know?
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. What's her? She tattoo artist? Is it? She's not on Instagram. She's not.
I don't know. She goes by Dre or Eyes Open.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You gotta read some Brene Brown, Joe, if you want to learn about. If you want to go down the shame rabbit hole.
Man, I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole, honestly, because I've got lots of shame I got to deal with.
That's probably a good way to deal with it. That'd be a good start.
I don't like facing my shadow through books, but
watch a YouTube video.
I like taking the magical route. Once I figure out, like, that's just me though. It's probably a little ridiculous actually, but once I figure out what corresponds with it, I'll attack it. But in my initiatic process, shame is something that's the biggest part of my shadow I got to deal with, and then I ain't ready for it yet. I'm not weaponized enough to deal with it yet.
Maybe it's the opposite of that.
No, it's not. Trust me. I've tried it. This is my third time going through it. It's very theatrical.
I like it. I feel like Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Set it up. I'm going to fight Tom Cruise.
Very industrial. Now, I can't believe with as many listeners as you've got, nobody's called in. You know what I think? I think sometimes people are afraid that they're going to sound stupid when they call in, you know, but the call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. Sorry. Tonight, I got to get a new number because I keep stumbling upon the threes there. But tonight we're talking with Grimerica, and you know, earlier in the show I'd mentioned, and I'll bring it up again, that we have a lot of the same listeners. I got a lot of my listeners from you guys, actually, and after time goes by, when you become creative, and we were talking about this earlier, how everybody should create, everybody should do their own show. If you do it long enough, you'll start to find your own tribe, and I think that we found our tribe. Even Nish is messaging me because she's going to be a guest later on from Noxmente, and it'll be like her second time on the show. And she said, you know, I'm starting to feel like family. And I used to laugh when people said that, because I would hear show hosts say, we're all family, stuff like that. And I'm like, man, you manipulative asshole, you know. But really, I was out of line, because sometimes you guys do feel like family. You know, James, Cruz, I don't know. Maybe it comes from that whole shame thing where you don't relate to the world, then you find your tribe on the internet. I think that's why people like podcasts.
It's all an act. It's all an act. We're just trying to get people's money. We're still on the break, right?
No, we ain't on the break.
Oh, yeah,
shameless.
Nobody believes you for a second, though, about that.
Shameless. Yeah. Yeah. Everyone should create. I don't know if everyone should create podcasts. I don't know. I don't know if everyone should. I don't know. I guess that's not for me to really decide. You should take some time and see what you wish you were doing or what you could be doing.
Yeah, don't create, you know. Just don't do it. Especially if you're not creative. Don't even think about it. Go to work, do your stuff, you know, stay away from everybody.
Read.
But
read.
Listen to
yeah,
podcasts.
read. Yeah.
Some people like to, I guess, well, it is like cooking would be creating.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do creative. I'm not saying you got to get out in the public. You could stitch rugs for all I care, but eventually you're going to start finding people that like to do it too.
Do you stitch rugs or do you knit them?
Knit them, whatever the hell, right?
I can't knit
But,
very well. I can sew okay.
You brought up a good point about shame earlier.
Oh boy.
And that's something I've never talked about on this show. That's something that I'm dealing with through my own initiatic process. I think a lot of people are dealing with that, and everybody I talk to has their own shame that they're trying to deal with.
Well, Brene Brown doesn't have like the third or fourth highest rated TED Talk in the history of TED for no reason. Right? Her talk on shame is right up there, and then she's a best-selling author. She's kind of probably the only person in her field in the world that's sort of heading its shame on and just doing it through an interview process of interviewing people willing to share their stories and everything else.
Yeah. What's really crazy about that too is we were talking about magical societies earlier, and you got guys like L. Ron Hubbard and all these people that would use people's shame and they created a system where you could go clear. Even if you've watched, have you guys or either one of you watching Strange Angel? You been watching that at all?
No.
About
I think
Jack
that's
Parsons and Crowley.
I haven't watched any of these TV shows, but that's what Confession was, I think, to a certain extent.
Right.
That's what, or, like, I don't know about the whole organization of it and where it ended up, but I think that's kind of the roots of it, like you can go and get that shit off your chest instead of just, whatever it is. Because I think most of the stuff people are walking around with is, silly childhood stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or thoughts, or the thought process. What pops into their head when people say things or whatever it is, getting triggered or whatever,
Well, Eyes Open in the chat says there's a theory about evolutionary astrology that the entire concepts of guilt and shame were brought into our society when the matriarchal society we lived in for thousands of years, which was based on community sharing, love, and unity, etc., was taken over by the current patriarchal society that we live in, which is now based on separateness, ownership, property, and otherness, etc. I wonder.
How do we know that?
I wonder if.
I think
it's
that
evolutionary astrology. I mean, is that going back to like Atlantis then?
Well,
is that
even without that, so right away, I don't think that shame and guilt are the same thing, and they don't belong in the same sentence. Because
I get the patriarchal thing, but women can bring on. They can push out just as much shame as men can.
So we shouldn't get into that here. But shame and guilt are two totally different things, because shame is the feeling that you're bad, you're a bad person, and guilt is a reaction to something you did that you feel is bad. So guilt is kind of like an evolutionary tool to help you course correct your morality. So if you do something that is shitty and it makes you feel shitty, you're probably not going to do that again.
You're self-correcting.
Yeah, you did something
Guilt
bad,
is a
so
good thing.
you're not a bad person. That guilt is there to help you self-correct your path. Whereas I think shame is more of an ingrown feeling that makes you feel like you don't deserve things, or you're not a good person, or whatever. Fill in the blank. Fill in with probably whatever you feel at certain points of the day. There's no real value to it, I don't think.
I had a friend that did that. Like, I almost said his name, but anyways, he would say that every night, man. He would say, "I'm a piece of crap. I really am. If you really knew me, I'm just a piece of shit." And that's what he would say. Pardon my French, but that's what he would say. And I thought he was joking at first. I thought he was just saying that to say it. But after the 100th time he said it, I was like, "You really believe that? You really believe you're lower than the rest of us or something?" And he said, "Man, you don't know what I've done and this and that." And I think, is that what you're saying? Like shame, makes you feel like you're lower than everybody.
That'd definitely be an aspect of it, 100%. I mean, what was it in the Garden of Eden? Shame was what you felt when, when they ate the forbidden fruit of knowledge or whatever it was, that's when shame came in. Immediately, Adam knew he was naked after he ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Before that, he didn't care that he was naked, but after that, he had to hide in the bush because he was naked, because he was ashamed of himself.
Imagine how much that affects you on a magical perspective, like just constantly.
That's
telling
that.
yourself
That's the
that
worst
you're-
part
yeah,
of it. That's
yeah.
the worst part of it. And the thing is, like, I'm listening to without fucking magic or manifestation or affirmation. It's coming out that this is probably the biggest one of the biggest problems in Western culture. That and trauma, childhood trauma, are probably two of the biggest problems we're facing right now. And that's probably because, we won't get into the causes here, but those are two of the biggest problems that Western culture is facing. And the people that are talking about that, Peterson, Brene Brown, aren't even considering, I'm not ashamed of that, I'm a little guilty, aren't even considering any metaphysical implications.
Yeah. Are you feeling guilty? Or are you feeling guilt? Or
No.
Are you guilty?
No, I was, no.
Yeah, saying that.
Guilty about what?
I feel bad. I feel a little
swear.
guilty that I swore on Joe's show.
Well, you're trying not to. So, I mean,
That's right. I'm doing my best. That's why I don't feel shame.
so yeah, don't worry about it. What I'll do is if you slip up, I'll just hit the Chewbacca.
That's
You know?
I mean, you're swearing.
But I mean, it's not like we're not doing it for moral purposes here anyway. So,
So they're not.
there's no shame about it.
So they're not talking about the metaphysical effect of that at all.
No. Like, I mean, if you got one of them off mic, maybe. I mean, Jordan probably does a little bit, but Brene isn't. I mean, Brene's I don't know what her exact credentials are, but she's a scientist. So,
Yeah, I'll have to check that out because I've had a few guests on that have done TED Talks, and I'm not just trying to get a bunch of people that have done TED Talks, but some of them are really good. I mean, really good.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get her on for like 2 years. I just got another rejection
Did you
last week. Yeah.
really? What did she say?
Yeah, rejections.
I haven't got
that's
through to Brene. I always just get the publicist. Same with Peterson. It's always his publicist. He's
Yeah.
just, sorry, too busy guy. I was like, okay, I'll be back.
That's something that kind of sucks that Patrick is dealing with. I told him, I said, hey, when you start emailing these people, just be ready because a bunch of them are going to reject you. Even if they've been on the show before, they're going to come up with every excuse in the world, or they're just going to flat out tell you no and makes you want to quit. But he's been doing really good with it. Some people just can't come on,
It's late. I'm not tired.
I'm not tired. I'm not tired one bit. I'm a late nighter. But I think you're right though, because man, once you start figuring that stuff out, you start learning how to tap into things. Like
That's how
Our
I ended
intuition.
up at Magic.
And
Joe.
that's
that's
reprogramming
my
your
don't point at me.
subconscious.
That was my
Don't
path.
point back at me then.
Well, you shot
You can't
first.
tell me not to point.
That was my route, and I guess what you guys would call magic.
yeah, but when we used to think we're paranoid, like once you start learning these things, you start learning to tap into your intuition too. Like when you really get into the metaphysical aspect of stuff, or the cause and effect. I mean, people think metaphysical, they think fairies and magic and stuff. Metaphysics is just the unseen world. That's all it is. It's like cause and effect. That's a hermetic principle, and it's metaphysical, but once you get into that, you'll start trusting your intuition more. So I trust things more now than I used to. Like when somebody gets around me, and we were talking about this the other night, that I feel is a manipulator or there's just something off about them. I used to think I was just being paranoid because I had insecurities or something, but no, you find out you're right after a while because you start listening to that intuition. You start learning how to tap into energy and metaphysical things. And I think shame, the more I think about it, shame could be that barrier that keeps you from being able to tap into your own power. It could be the one thing that
And it's
really,
the easiest to
really
get
keeps
rid
you
of.
from tapping into it.
It's the easiest to get rid of because you just got to talk about it with somebody.
Like, my name is Joe and I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah, that would work for sure, but it's kind of like, it's only a shame because you're the only one who knows about it, and you assume that when anyone else finds out that no one's going to want to be near you or around you or part of your life anymore. So once you talk to your buddy and you say, shit, man, back in the day, I used to try and manipulate my friends into doing stuff when I really wanted to do something, I'd try and sneak them or, whatever you're feeling
Yeah.
shame about, find someone that you trust that isn't going to be, it's not going to be good if they're like, oh my God, Joe, don't call me again. That's not going to help. But
I say that stuff on the air. I've talked about my shame, like not all of the things I've been ashamed of, but some of them.
Well, doing like 370 episodes of a podcast, I mean, that's probably one way, that's been another route to self-discovery for sure. I mean, we talk about stuff on the show now that we wouldn't have considered even mentioning, years ago. We wouldn't even show our faces for 3 years.
Yeah, that's how I am now. I don't like showing my face. I just don't. I'll get over it eventually, though. I'll come out into the public. You guys have seen my face quite a bit, though. You forced me to show my face on your show.
We did. That's it.
I had to.
Some people still say no. It's not a hard rule.
But I'm glad that you guys got to come on the show. It's been really cool. I hope we can do it again in the future, way in the future. I know you guys got so much stuff going on. You got your own studio now. I hope your support has picked up more than it has been before. At least it seems that way. I support your show. I send you guys a few dollars every month. I wish I could send more, but honestly, I can't afford it. But I feel like I will be able to afford it soon, hopefully. But I don't have any shame about it. I just feel like you should put your energy into things that serve you. And your podcast has done a lot for a lot of people. I don't think you guys probably know now, I'm sure. You get a ton of emails about it. Do you ever feel like that it can't be true that some people are pulling your leg? Because I still feel that way.
Oh yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, it's like that all the time. It's pretty surreal, especially now that we've started to take it into the physical realm with some events and stuff like that.
Can we talk about that for just a minute or two?
Yeah, we've done a few events now that have, so we're after meeting over 100 of the community now in person at these things. And, we've ended up friends with you. And, we were actually talking earlier in the break, but about how many, like just guests that have been on the show that we've ended up being friends with. Yeah. And I mean, in a lot of sense, it's kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of, when I really look at it now, there was a lot of magic there. There was a lot of, just deciding that someone was going to go on the show. And, they say no 50 friggin' times. But then on the 51st time, they say yes. Nothing's changed, but it's just like, yeah, well, maybe it's that they just figure out that you're not going away or they're annoyed, but they could just block you.
Who's that? You're talking about?
Well, I don't know. There's a few of them.
That's what I said. I asked you guys how I could.
Scott Adams originally, which is super ironic.
That I wanted to get on the show, and I would say, I asked Darren one time. I said, how do I get these people? I've got a most wanted list, and I told you Duncan Trussell is one of them, and you were like, well, you just do what we do. We just kept bugging him till he came on. Now he comes on every now and then.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Just do it in a polite way. I mean, it took me, I think the longest was probably Scott Adams. It took me like over a year to get him to convince him to come on. And he even like followed us on Twitter for like a year. And then finally it was like, wow, fine. And he's going to come back on in November. But since then it's been like McAfee. I tried McAfee for a couple months and then panned out eventually.
Well, what I'd like to do is, talk about what you guys have done for your audience, and I eventually want to be able to do the same thing. I'm hoping I can. But what you guys, you correspond through, I mean, like the very least is like email. You guys chat with your listeners all the time in Discord. You have an event that you go to that you invite people called Contact in the Cabin that you guys go out and just hang out, man. And you've had Randall Carlson come out there a couple of times now, right?
This last one in May was the first time Randall came out. He came out for 10 days in Pagosa. Okay. We did 3 groups through there, so this was like 3 mini events.
Yeah. Yeah, Randall did presentations for everybody and tours to ancient ruins.
But we couldn't have done any of that without the listeners, right? The listeners the people that bought the tickets for that paid for all of that, and the people that support the show, and it wouldn't be fun doing the show if nobody listened. You know, it's more of a
Yeah, but
Yeah,
what I'm saying is what you guys do, and I know you're being humble, but what you do is and maybe it's just a natural thing for you, but you guys like to get involved with your audience, where I've seen a lot of people just, I'm the host. I want to be the host. Everybody look at me, listen to me every single night. But you guys,
Yeah,
you
no, we
guys
don't
really
want
like to get involved with your audience. You like to hang out, man.
Yeah.
You like to, you're different.
Like I said,
it's annoying.
Been
That's the most
part.
annoying part at the events is just that extra attention. You know, we're really not wired for that. For people to be weird when they meet us. Don't be weird when you meet us. We're really not wired for that. It's just weird for us. We're just normal dudes, and let's just be like, hey, I'm Darren, and you can be like, hey, I'm Bill, or whatever your name is, and it's weird when it's weird. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's normal for some people, but for us, it just really catches us off guard. We're not. I mean, we need the listeners. As far as we're concerned, it's a communal effort at this time. At this point, they pay for the bills, and if we didn't have tens of thousands of listeners, then we couldn't get some of the guests that choose to come on. And if we didn't have the listeners we had,
that's a good point.
Yeah, these guys come on now because they see we have 50,000 Twitter followers and we have, tens of thousands of listeners.
And the reviews and all that stuff. Like that's all plays a part, right? And we couldn't do it without all that.
If there wasn't that, then we wouldn't be able to do any of the things that we're doing. So
Joe, go ahead.
It's just a responsibility. We're doing our best, and we appreciate that you guys keep paying for it. And one day, there's a real possibility that one day this will be all we have to do, and that's insane to think about.
I hope you get to that point, and I wish I could. We've had some talks about that behind the scenes. Like, I know you guys started the streaming channel like Grimerica FM. So if you guys could check that out, if you like listening to Grimerica or all of the shows that they have on there, there's a stream. That just like the Fringe FM, and I consider it a brother-sister station to the Fringe FM, actually. And you're going to see that banner a lot more places in the future as Grimerica FM. To have that option, to have that radio station and that community there is a really cool thing. And I think once you get that going, you'll be able to build something to where you can do this all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
The only reason, I mean, if it wasn't for the donations and the people that I produce their shows, I would be dead in the water right now, be honest with you, dead in the water. But I think there's something to it, man. I've said it a million times. When you do what you love and you go for what you love and you do what you think you're here to do, Spirit has a way of helping you out, and it helps you out through people and community. And I don't know, man. I don't want to get too sobby on you.
No, I appreciate it. And the CAC, that's what we call Contact at the Cabin. It's kind of shortened to CAC. But, I mean, we're going to do a bunch of, we got another one for April 2020 where Darren's already booked.
Website, contactatthecabin.com.
Darren's already booked it for David Matheson and Brandon Powell for Wim Hof breathing, and Star Myths. Like, we're going to go sky watching was for the Star Myths. And, I mean, I want to do a magic act. Where maybe would you be interested in no, man, like our magic, like would you want to come out and do a workshop or something with us? Like, yeah, you come out and teach some people. Maybe get you and Damien Eccles or something to come out, and we'll do a weekend, like a long weekend somewhere, and do some workshops.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I don't know if I could be even compared to that guy, but yeah, definitely will do it.
You know what I mean? You could co-sponsor it. It'd be fantastic.
I think we should create our own ritual though, based on the fundamentals.
Oh, let's do it.
And
working on it.
Yeah, let's do it. That's a great idea.
But yeah, everybody go check out the website. I believe it's just at Grimerica on Twitter as well. Give them a follow, like the show, listen to if you never heard the show before, I don't know how to explain it, but they will grow on you like a fungus, and you'll have to listen. You'll get addicted to it. That's what happened to me. You get to where, like, if I go too many days and I haven't listened to it, and honestly, sometimes I listen on YouTube and don't always download the podcast, but I don't feel right, So that's the kind of effect you're having on folks, man. And I appreciate you guys coming out.
Oh man, we appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, we appreciate you, bud.
It's great to talk to you.
We didn't even get to talk Dungeons and Dragons, but I'll be back in
let's
there
save
rolling
another one
dice.
for that.
Maybe
Yeah, come back in and
Graham
roll
will
some
stick
dice.
around for the last segment. Talk D&D.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get out of here, but and then in the last hour, the Reverend Dan Lopez is coming on. But thank you guys again so much for coming on the broadcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Joe. Keep fighting the
All right,
good
guys,
fight,
we'll be
brother.
right back. The Reverend Dan Lopez. Go check out Grimerica, grimerica.ca. Be right back. You guys are the shit. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy. That was
Thank you,
awesome.
buddy.